Good afternoon or good morning, good evening, anyone. Welcome to this digital webinar to present our new book, The Digital Phoenix Effect.
Hi, also from my side, and we're very happy to have you here.
As you know, since everything was written in the description of the event, we are going to share something from the inside of the Digital Phoenix Effect. We are going to have a conversation with three of the leaders that actually inspired our new book. We want just to share something at the very beginning to say what we are trying to do and why we are trying to do this, following up our very first book that was simply titled Platform Thinking. And we would like to start actually highlighting what we mean with platform thinking and why we are trying to do this. Platform thinking to us is not the methodology to develop a new startup or a digital business model, but is something more than that. It is an innovation methodology that can be used through platform-based mechanism to unlock digital business transformations, potentially anywhere for startups, but also and especially for established firms. If in the first book we were aiming to define what platform thinking is, in this second book we are talking only about established firms, companies that already exist, companies that already have customers, companies that have a legacy to preserve and potentially to build on. This is what the Digital Phoenix Effect is about, and this is the type of conversation that we are going to have today.
Yeah, but before starting having this conversation with our guests, we would like to share just one or two information about the book and the research behind it. So we are researchers, and the book is based on a solid research. So what we did was going to analyze all the 500 companies listed in Standard & Poor's 500 index. And of course, given that we wanted to focus our attention on not digital, not platform native companies, we excluded some of them. We excluded 16 of them, but still we had more than 400. We had exactly 484 companies. So the thing that we did was just looking for platforms developed by them. Why this? Because the large majority of these companies, once you take companies like Amazon or Alphabet out, they are industry companies, they are retailing companies, they are oil companies, they are pharmaceutical companies, they are banking companies, financial companies, and so on. So every other kind of company. And this is exactly the focus for us. So we discovered a couple of very interesting things. The first one is that 92% of these companies are developing some kind of platforms. And this is incredibly important to us. So it is true. Established companies, they do create platforms. They are investing their time, their effort, and the human capital in order to develop platforms. But, we did something more. So we analyzed all the initiatives that we found. So we found more than 800 initiatives, and we analyze each and every single one of them just to be sure that they are platforms. Because what we know is that in many cases, we still confuse the simple digital services, brilliant digital services, with platforms. And platforms have got some characteristics like scalability, has a zero marginal cost, and everything that we know, but digital services do not have. And when we dig deeper into the data, we actually found that only 17% of these 800 initiatives are actual platforms. So if we go to look at the two data together, we understand one thing. On the one side, there is a lot of interest from established companies about platforms, but on the other side, there is still space for improvement. So in many cases, it is not still completely clear how to do that. What are the mechanisms? What are the tricks, and what are also the problems that are connected to platforms? And this is exactly what we did in the book. And actually, we were very, very lucky because, besides these 140 cases, we also found something else. So the beginning of the book, the first part is based on three very inspiring stories for us. And they are in the book, but they are also here physically with us today. And so I'm more than happy to welcome on stage Pierre de Rostou, Stefano Fasani, and Bettina Rottermund. Welcome.
Thank you very much for joining us. We are super happy to be here live with you and to have the chance to relive some of the research that we've done with the book together. The book opens with three stories that, in our opinion, are the flagship cases of the type of innovation we are trying to propose with platform thinking. Three European legacy companies that use platform thinking for completely different types of innovation. We have Pierre from AXA, we have Stefano from Eni working for OpenS, and we have Bettina from Siemens. Actually, you probably noticed that we are having some technical issues with Bettina. What we are going to have during this session, there she is. What we are going to have in this session is actually pretty straightforward. We are going to have three questions that are more related to the problem they try to solve with platforms, what they did, the type of platform they built, and the benefits they got in actually realizing a platform. And we're going to do this in a circle, basically, going through the three cases each time. And we would like to start with the very first question, which is, what was the starting point? What problem you were aiming to solve with the project you talked about? And we would start giving the floor to Pierre. For the people listening, you will have time to ask questions in the end, but if you start typing them in the chat, we start keeping track of them. Pierre, whenever you want, the floor is yours.
Great. Thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon to anyone. And first of all, well done on the book. I mean, it's great, and it's really exciting to see that coming to life. So very well done to you. So maybe to give you a bit of context on AXA DCP, maybe we have to take a step back at the overall challenges that our industry is facing. Over the past 10 to 15 years, we have seen a massive change in the nature of risks, in the type of event, in the size of events. If you take natural catastrophes and climate change, it's probably the poster child of it. We have bigger events, more frequent events every year, every season. We have massive losses. And what we estimate, what the industry estimates, is that more than 60% of the losses are not insured, because this has become so big that we can't insure everything anymore. If you take cyber risk is becoming a massive risk, and today the industry estimates that 90%, so 90% of the losses are not insured. If you take geopolitical risks as another illustration, it's really hard to know what has been insured, but we know that the insurance can't be the only solution. So those three examples to say that because of the shift in type of risks and frequency of risk, we have to shift our business model from protection insurance to prevention. And that's the aim of the AXA Digital Commercial Platform. It was launched 3 years ago with one goal is to provide, predict, and prevent solution to its clients. And what we came to realize when we started is that there actually are a lot of solutions available to help clients understand their risks and manage the risks. But there is a huge inadequacy in the market, because if there are plenty of solutions available, those are niche solutions answering one risk, one topic, but not one solution fits all the needs and all the industries. And this is why we decided to launch a platform, digital commercial platform, to connect our clients, our users, with solutions that exist in the market, but they don't necessarily know or they don't necessarily have access to. So today we have a bit more than 45 partners on our platform. Some are very large and well-known companies that you all know about. Some are actually really niche startups, and our goal is to connect their solution to the client's needs. If I take a practical example, we work with a European startup that is really, really good at scoring in real time exposure to wildfires with satellite picture. It's a great solution, but as great as the solution is, they struggle to scale and access to large companies with assets all over the world. And this is what we bring. We bring the connection in between this great offer and the clients.
Thank you very much, Pierre. So the first case is set, very clear industry, very clear need, talking about a reaction to climate change. And we would move to Stefano to see the need that Eni had and what OpenS is actually reacting to.
Yes. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Tommaso, and congratulations for the book and for the very interesting research, starting from the experience also from Pierre and Bettina that I found very inspiring regarding, in general, the use of platforms. We started from a very important need because we are talking about the ability to support and analyze the supply chains regarding generally the characteristics, the relevant characteristics for twin transition, for ESG transition, for digital transition. So the ability to understand the resilience and the characteristics regarding the robustness of the suppliers, or more generally the supply chain. So different tiers of the supply chain and supporting them in an improvement path. But which is the real problem behind this important topic that all the main companies from different industries have? The problem is exactly that all the companies have the same problem, as the same goals in this direction, but the supply chains are very complex networks, real connected with different players that has different roles in different supply chains. And so if any and every supply chain leaders, so big companies, decides to solve and try to solve this kind of issues alone with an independent initiatives, these potentially create a negative effect on the overall supply chain networks. And so the idea behind was to create a platform where all the players are connected, not only a big player like Eni with its first tire and the first tire with the second tire and so on, but more generally create a cross-industry approach, a cross-industry alliance through a digital platform that, thanks to this connection, enable all the different players to share the information, to share the improvement plans, and to have a coordinated approach without the necessity to replicate the same information a lot of time, without the necessity to have a bureaucracy approach regarding this important topic. And so having the correct focus to the goal, to the real and concrete improvement plan that every company and every supply chain has to achieve in this period. So this is the context. Then we can go also more in details on how the platform works.
Thank you very much, Stefano. Obviously, the cases don't sound new to us, but it's always great to hear how you started from problems that, in the very first place, look very different. Like in the first case, there was more climate change, while you are more talking about sustainability, ESG. So kind of a society that is going towards something new. And I will put on stage now Bettina to hear the stories of Siemens.
Yeah, thank you so much, gentlemen. And from my side, also heartily congratulations to your book. I hope you can hear me well. I'm in China, and the VPN funnel does not seem to hold up for the connection that much. So maybe why Siemens, as an incumbent with 100 at that time 175 years, entered a platform business model was very simple, because we saw 2/3 of all digitalization topics and endeavors of our customers fail. And for us, it was clear, if our customers are not successful, we cannot be successful in the long run. So there was help needed. And that's why we looked into what is the root cause of 2/3 of all digitalization and digital transformation projects fail, which was simply that it was too complicated and too cumbersome for customers, and they were stuck in this pilotitis or this POC limbo, but they had no real guidance and not solutions that were helping them through this journey that were matching their industry needs. Yeah? And that's why we said, okay, we do not have all the things that are needed to help our customers through their digital transformation, because for every customer and for every company, it's different. That's why we said we need to rally everyone around us that can help in order to support our customers on their digital transformation journey. And how would we do that? So when we bring an ecosystem to the table and we bring the right portfolio to the table, then we would need to store it, and we would need to present it somewhere. And this was literally when we had the birth hour of Siemens Accelerator as a platform idea, say it's a one-stop shop for digital transformation, bringing everything together customer would need on one area where they can also exchange, find help from a community, get consulting, get financial support. So literally we bring everything together in order to make it easier, faster, and also scalable for them.
Thank you very much, Bettina. And I think this is kind of closing the picture on three extremely relevant and intrinsically different problems. Three evolutions that are happening in the world around us that found a common answer: climate change, sustainability, pressure and needs, and digital transformation at large, or servitization to a certain extent. In the third case, there is an amazing question by Paul, but I would leave it for the Q&A session that is actually going towards the organizational implication. And I leave to Tommaso.
Yeah, I mean, the three of you perfectly explained the starting points and the reason why you started and you embarked in such a difficult activity. But you can easily imagine that people listening to us now and people who will listen to the recording of this, among us, we've got many, experts of platforms or platform enthusiasts and so on. So I'm pretty sure that they would like to know a little bit better how the platform really works, because you already provided a couple of examples. But the reality is that the platform that you built up is quite, the three of them, they're quite complicated, and they've got a functioning that requires a little bit of time to be explained. It would be great if you could provide us with examples about, exactly how it works. And especially, I'm thinking about in the beginning, you presented the connections and the matchmaking, so the ability of connecting. But for example, there is also a lot of data implied into the platform. So can you please try to make us understand a little bit better? It's going to be impossible to be completely precise, but a little bit better how it works. And I guess we can start with Pierre again, right?
Great. What we try to do is to help clients know precisely in real time where their assets are and where the risks are. So when I'm talking about clients, maybe just for the sake of clarification, we are doing B2B clients. So we are working with very large clients, some smaller clients, but let's assume it's large clients such as Siemens or any with plenty of assets all over the world. And basically what clients will find inside the platform is tools to map assets in real time all over the world. So basically for buildings, it's relatively easy because they tend not to move too much, but we track in real time as well planes, ships, cargo, cars, etc., etc. So basically you have 100% of your assets on a map, and what you find is exposure against any type of risks on each and every of those assets. And the way we shift to a platform is that some of this data comes from us. Some of this data comes from partners who provide the data to clients. So basically, there is a way to consume data from partners directly into our interface. But since not all our partners can connect their data feed, some of our partners, for instance, install IoT in buildings. So we have, in parallel to this map where you consume data, access to a marketplace, exactly as you would find on a very common marketplaces such as Amazon, for instance, where depending on your needs, you have access to different type of solutions. So either you consume directly in the interface or you consume the service outside of our interface. And if we go back to the side of the platform, on the one hand, on the user consumer side, we have our clients, so insured by AXA, but we have as well non-insured clients. And for us, it's interesting as well to provide, for instance, public authorities or non-insured clients with solutions like that. And we have as well the entities of AXA, so that they can use as well the data that we are aggregating and orchestrating to do their job even better than they do today. That's for the user side. On the other side of the platform, you have a lot of different type of suppliers. The first supplier is actually us, because we build some of the solutions that we put on our platform. But we have as well other AXA entities that have also developed digital solutions, digital services, and that use the digital commercial platform to connect to end users. And we have, as I was mentioning, a lot of external partners, some very large ones and some very small ones. Again, some are startups, some are very large companies that connect to the platform and distribute either through our interface, because it's data feed, and we connect the pipe in between their data and the client needs, or externally, and they use DCP to meet, and we operate as a matchmaker to create a connection in between a user and a supplier.
Sorry, it is it is very interesting because as we said, these are complex. All the three of them, they're all complex platforms. So you do many different things at the same time. So there is a matchmaking, or there is also the possibility for using data, of aggregating data, or reusing data for yourself, for your customers, and so on. One thing that I find particularly interesting is that in your case, you are serving your own customers with much more. And part of it is actually coming from you, but part of it is actually coming from an ecosystem. So you somehow succeeded in involving a whole ecosystem in order to provide more and more and more to your customers. And I think this is one of the most interesting things of your case. But I would like to ask the same question to Stefano. So Stefano, again, also in your case, the platform is complicated. Can you tell us a little bit more how it works exactly with who are the people and the companies and the stakeholders on each side, and how it is actually happening?
Yes, absolutely. The first part of the platform is a sort of social network. So there are different players connected with other players that has commercial relationships with them. So there are clients, industrial clients with their suppliers. The same suppliers can be a client of their suppliers, so the different level of the supply chain. There are banks or insurances with the relationship with their clients, the clients that could be in the supply chain. So the different role of the typical value chain. Another important player is a sort of certificator or rating providers. So players, specialized players that can certify, certify the data declared by a company or rate them. So giving from a proprietary approach, algorithm and so on, a specific evaluation. And then the relationship is based on the principle of the ownership of the data. So the company keep the ownership of their data and decides who are the other players in the network, enable to see their information. And their information could be a self-declared information or an information that is certified by another player of the ecosystem, or can be an information, a set of information enriched by a rating evaluation by a specialized player of the ecosystem. And so the first point is the ability to share this information, what we called as an identity card, a transition identity card. So the main information regarding the transition characteristics of a company in a way that help each player of this ecosystem to do their work. So the supply chain leader to analyze and to support their supply chains, the suppliers that wants to show all the best approach projects, information regarding that, the certification provider that can do their services in this direction. So all the players take an advantage in this direction. The second step is not only the ability to measure and to share the data, that is good, but it's not enough. The second step is the ability to improve this identity card. So I measure myself, or I measure my supply chain or my clients and so on, but I want to set a goal, to set an improvement plan in this direction. And so the platform gives services in this direction. First of all, an automatic service that gives priorities and advice for the improvement plan of the company or of the supply chain. But on the other hand, gives also the possibility to third parties, so another players, the transition services provider, so provider that gives consultancies, services, technologies, supporting regarding the reporting, digital solution, training, awareness, and so on. So players that give support for the company itself to have a match with the improvement plan. So the company can find the match between the need, so the priorities, the improvement plans, and services regarding that, and then is completely free to decide if to activate from this marketplace these specific services, or to solve this priority, these improvement plans alone or with other partners. But the idea is to have a complete circle regarding this topic, a one-stop platform regarding the need around the sharing of information on the transition context, but especially for improving them.
So thank you, Stefano. Once again, the platform is quite complicated, and it's difficult to to explain everything in a few seconds. Oh well, everybody can read the book if they want to understand more. But no, but there are a couple of things that are very interesting in your case. So if I had to actually point out, probably the most interesting to me is that unlike the case of Axai, which they had new services provided to their own customers through the involvement of an ecosystem, you made even something even more stranger, because actually you transformed your providers into customers for services on the platforms. So this must be also, from the internal point of view, from an organizational point of view, it must be quite strange. So all of a sudden, your provider for your main supply chain can also become your customer for the platform. And I guess, and I know that this has been one of the most difficult parts of the game. We might go back to it later, because there was a question about how difficult it was to convince your own people in the free companies to accept this change in mindset. Bettina, so how does Siemens Accelerator work?
Yeah, and maybe I can catch two questions in one, the one from Steve Klein and then the one from Simon Jones also. So how difficult it was. So how does Siemens Accelerator work? It is not very complicated. It is just internally complex. Yeah. So what does that mean? It means we're doing matchmaking between someone who provides industrial solutions for a dedicated use case and someone who's in need or searches for industrial solutions for a dedicated business. That is what we provide on the platform. So you would use the platform, for example, when you say, hey, I heard about AI in industry. So how does that work? You would go to our AI page, and then you see all the offerings that there are for industrial AI from Siemens and our partners, and there are many. Yeah, so we have many industrial AI applications and offerings on the platform. You can pick one. You can get help from the community. Is that the right choice for me? You can look for financial support if you need some. So we try to bring this together, and we are doing matchmaking between the different parties. But that also means we are doing matchmaking between partners, for example. So we have smaller partners, we have large partners, and we do matchmaking when they are literally doing the same. And we did that in the example of Sostera and Capgemini. Sostera, super small startup, 10 people maybe. Capgemini, big behemoth in the consulting area. They are both working on ESG application and consulting. And they found us through the platform, and we brought them together. So they are creating offerings together and put that back on the platform. So two things. It's a platform for matchmaking for the service of our customers together with sellers. But then also we use the platform as a co-creation and co-innovation hub. Yeah, so that is maybe why we are called a hybrid platform. We are bringing companies together and sellers together, regardless of their size. If they're up for the same topic, we try to bring them together. And we are facilitating also these open exchange rooms between players of different industries and different verticals, because we are all tackling the same problems, and sometimes it's smarter to tackle the problems in a swarm intelligence logic than by yourself. That's why our platform is highly collaborative. And how do we maybe tackle the internal resistance, as there is internal resistance, which every transformation, everyone knows. You need to explain a lot, and you need to be very transparent of what you do and why you do it. Yeah? And if there is not a clear why, and you cannot create a vision that is beneficial for everyone, then probably you're going to fail, because you really need to take a lot of people with you on this journey. And Siemens is a big company with more than 300,000 employees. If you have not a good why and not a clear vision and not examples by which you show what is better now that you have a platform model, as hard as it might be in order to create it, then you're not good on your way. So what I did together with a small set of people in the beginning, we were explaining, we were inviting people to bring their ideas to the table and to participate in bringing up the platform, which created a huge pull in the beginning for this kind of solving this nitty-gritty problems that you are going to encounter when building a platform on an everyday scale.
Okay, so thank you also to Bettina. The case of Siemens is very interesting because you got a physical product at the basis. So this is something that makes you different from the others. But I think that in what you said, I identified something particularly good. I mean, especially because I see that in the list of questions, there is Pablo Ritala that we know quite well. And Pablo actually wrote an article that was also, investigating all of the connections that you can have among the different players on the same side. So this idea of putting them together or creating a sort of synergy, I think will resonate a lot with the research of Pablo. And it's incredible when you see that, real companies, big companies like yours are actually doing what we are studying in theory. And so it seems to work, and it's reassuring, I think, for both of us.
It's very nice to see that there are so many questions popping up in the comments. We said it many times, but we truly believe that your three cases are making a lot of studies and a lot of theory actual real practice. So it's very cool to see this engagement. And actually, Anna anticipated exactly the third question we prepared for our speakers. That is basically, in a nutshell, what was the benefit of tackling that problem through a platform instead of through a linear perspective? So what is the greatest benefit that you got by using a platform approach? And we start again from Pierre.
So maybe just one point before going onto your question on the link between theory and research and practical ability. When we started DCP, we spent a lot of time with both of you and with some other teachers here and there to talk about the research and how the research could help us actually building the platform. We read a lot of books, including yours. So I think there is this kind of a direct connection between the research and the practical application of platform that is really, really key in our case, at least. So on the question on which is the best benefit, I think it's quite hard because there are just so many benefits. So I will probably oversimplify in saying, to me, this platform model is kind of a win-win-win situation. So it's a win situation for our clients, it's a win situation for our suppliers, and it's a win situation for us. For our clients, it's a win situation because suddenly, thanks to our matchmaking role, they have access to curated network of partners. They have access to services in a much more simple and efficient way. So for them, they know where to go and how to solve a practical problem. Many of our clients on cyber, for instance, were asking for that, because when you do a scanning of their cyber exposure, they would say the result would say you need a firewall, for instance. And most of the clients are like, okay, great, but which firewall, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a win situation because they have access to the right partner at the right time. For our partners, for the supply side, it's a win situation as well because suddenly they have access to a lot of potential prospects and they can sell easily without doing all the effort around being known, sales process, etc., etc. So for them, it's great as well because they can access plenty of different customers all over the world. And for us, of course, it's great and it's a win situation as well because we are suddenly benefiting from a very broad value proposition and creating something that is quite unique in the market for our clients. So ultimately, it's a win for clients because they have access to plenty of partners. It's a win for our partners because they have access to a lot of clients, and it's a win for us because all the transaction happens inside DCP, and we are able to do this connection.
Thank you, Pierre. I think scale is definitely a big topic when dealing with platforms, but I really like your win-win-win label. I think that's the key to design a proper successful platform. And I would ask the same to Stefano.
Yes, frankly speaking, we didn't make a lot of study before to start with the openness initiative and alliance. We didn't have a very robust theory behind, but we follow the need. So we started from the need of big energy supply chain leader that has to collect the data, the information from the suppliers. Then we understood with the supplier itself that the supplier have the same necessity on the further tires. And so we added another layer, another player in the ecosystem, in the platform. Then there was the necessity to activate the certification and the validation of the data. And so another player has started in the platform. Then the same logic and mechanism was exactly replicated even in the financial sector with the banks and the insurances with their clients. And so another players add in. So we follow the need. So why to do that through a platform model and not a linear model? Because it's the only way to achieve the results. Is the most efficient way and also the only way, because without a connection, without a network and a tool with a network structure that we can we can name platform, we cannot have this kind of mechanism. We cannot avoid the replication of the same disclosure process, and we cannot support the companies, especially the smallest one, in this direction, avoiding useless efforts, and supporting that to focus the effort, to focus the attention on real and practical action that has a lot to do with their competitiveness position in a transition context. So this is the real reason behind also analyzing that in a post approach in terms of best solution to use in this direction.
Your case is extremely interesting for many different perspectives, and in a way, I understand you saying actually there was no alternative if not in a network way. Let me highlight. Probably people that read the book already know this, but for people hearing your story for the first time, something that is truly amazing in this case is that there are a number of established companies that Stefano refers to as supply and value chain leaders that actually act on the same platform. I think this was a super smart and forward-looking decision, not just working on their suppliers, but actually opening it up to many. Bringing what Pierre was saying of the scale, the network effect, the win-win-win situation at a higher level. So I totally understand your point in saying actually there was no alternative in a way. Bettina, what's your take on this?
Well, for us, it's when you look into the win-win-win, or let's say who wins when, you should aim for a win-win-win for sure. And for us, it's already a win-win-win because we are happy as a company because we have so much more customers that turn out to be a co-creator or co-innovator. We have a longer list now than we had ever before because people are drawn to the platform because of the ecosystem and because of the co-innovation opportunities that lie within. We have happier customers because we are able to provide more offerings than we ever had before with third parties augmenting our capabilities. So literally we can expand the value chain that we serve. And that also comes into when partners meet partners, as I explained before, there are even more offerings created that we don't even have to touch. So it's happening literally in the meantime while we sleep. And that's why this exchange and the interaction between the customers and the sellers, and customers become sellers and customer become partners and sellers become partners. So there is a vivid ecosystem that unfolds that was not there before. We always had an ecosystem of partners that we did business with. But without Siemens Accelerator, we were not making it accessible for our customers. And it is the partners that are in the build sector and the build motion, but then also the partners that help our customers to integrate the offerings that they can buy from the platform. And that makes a lot of difference, specifically when we offer integration partners that have the proximity to our customers in their respective regions with the respective regulations that they have to obey to. That is something where we see the platform, especially the ecosystem, thriving with more and more partners coming to the table. And right at the moment, we have more than 40% third-party offerings on the platform. And for an incumbent, I think that's not too bad. So it makes us very happy to see how things are developing. And it is still a very, very long way. So we're not done.
No, I will actually connect with the last thing you said, Bettina. It's a very long way in front of us. When we talk about platforms with people in our classes, at our events, we still feel that the usual thinking for people that never touch a platform from the operational perspective is that platforms have an happy life. They are lightweight. They scale rapidly. Once upon a time, a colleague said they sit on top of the market, and basically they don't do anything. They see things transacting there. The whole point we made with the first book was, well, no, that's not true. Airbnb and Uber actually create a huge amount of value in creating those transactions. And the fact that you perceive them doing nothing is actually because they do an amazing job. But I think the fil rouge among your three answers is actually, on the one hand, the difficulty, the complexity of developing a successful platform, bringing together the interests of different sides of different stakeholders, the need of a medium, if not long-term strategy to make it grow. But in a way, you are basically saying there's no alternative. That's the way to remain competitive in a world that is changing fast, in which we are all changing, and the overall setting around us is changing. And I think this is very important to the type of research we are doing, like having another way of managing complexity around us.
Yeah. And I also think that we do have some time for some of the questions that are arriving from our guest or from our friends connected, and we will not have time for all of them. But I just cherry picked a couple of them. The first one is this one by Pavel, because he's asking, how much negotiation you need to do with the platform customers and service providers who participate to the platform, or it is relatively seamless and plug and play to new participants. Actually, there is another question that is connected to this, and it is on the one by Khaled, and so building on it, what's the role of pricing? So what's the role of pricing in attracting customers and service providers to the platform? So this negotiation and the role of price. I don't know, who wants to go first? So we can go in the same way, or you can just, you raise your hand and I put you on stage. What do you prefer? Okay, we go with the.
So it is not a question of pricing. The customer are in deep need of support with digital transformation solutions. So that's why for them, pricing is also important, what they can afford, what's in their budget, but not to come and search the catalog on the platform for good solutions. So that is nothing that we need to put in terms of reduced pricings, not at all. Yeah, so that's not what we do. So for us, it is important that when seller want to be part of Siemens Accelerator, they add something valuable to the platform. And there is a commercial governance and a technical governance on the platform that the sellers need to obey to, because trust is the currency of the platform, and trust must not be compromised by bad behavior on the platform. Otherwise, we would literally throw sellers and people off the platform. Yeah, so this is a place to exchange and to do business with each other and not harm each other. That's maybe the first notion. So sellers need to, as I said, add something that is of value to the customer. That's why it needs to have something to do with digital transformation. And it should be something that is not already on the platform, because we all know that congestion and pollution are deadly sins of platform economy. Yeah, we should not have to have too much of the same kind on the platform, because then making a decision for a solution is very, very complicated. So that's why we look into, is that already there? Does that add to what is already on the platform? Can we make bundles with what would be new on the platform and other already existing offerings? So that is how we select the partners that are on the platform. But we are pretty open. We say, come when you have something to add that is in a value for someone that is looking for digital transformation.
So basically, you're also making a point about quantity and quality. So there is a lot of talking about the numbers for the network effects. So you need to have many offerings on the other side. But the reality is that when you reach a sort of critical mass, if you go on adding new offerings, you're just creating what is called the paradox of choice. So you make my life more difficult instead of solving a problem. Also, Pierre wanted to say something about this, right?
Yeah, I think Bettina covered it really well. Maybe just want to insist on one point, which is trust. I think it's really key in the way we want to govern the platform. and trust comes with quality. It's really important that we play this role as platform orchestrators to be able to find the right partner for the right needs. To the point of quantity versus quality, I think it's really important. We've all experienced some platform a bit less demanding in terms of quality, and when you buy something that is of bad quality on a platform, you don't go back. So the promise we have to do as large platform is to provide with solutions that are of high quality. Then to the question, sadly, there is nothing easy, and there is nothing plug and play. We have individual conversation with every partner. We need to review their technology, to review their level of security, of compliance. We need to make sure that they won't harm the users, etc. Then we have some commercial negotiation, because on our marketplace, there is a commercial benefit for the clients to consume the service through DCP and not to go directly and circumvent us. So there are better terms and conditions and better rates accessible to partners on the platform. So it takes a lot of time actually to find the right partners. But we are happy with the number of partners we have. We will grow the ecosystem over time, but it takes time, and we really want to be very serious on that, because the promise we make to our clients is they will find the right partner when they need it. So we can't afford to have a situation where they are not satisfied with the services that we connect them with.
I was on mute. Stefano, can I also ask you something about this?
Yes, in our situation is quite particular, because our solution and our initiative is not for profit. But in our case, an important characteristics has been played by the fact that the platform is free of charges for the suppliers. So the value chain leaders can offer to their supply chain a free of charge tool for all the services, all the different solution inside the platform itself. So in this case, an important role was regarding a common value shared by all the value chain leaders. So when we talk about the alliance behind the openness initiatives, is because the different value chain leaders, important industrial players, banks, institutions, universities, and so on, are in common the value of giving services, first of all, to their supply chain, especially for the small and medium enterprises, and to do that in a free of charges way. And so this is the most important topic. Then there is also the possibility for the supply chain leader to have different profiles, so to enter in the governance of the alliance, or only using the advanced profile of the platform, so with the different conditions. So our idea behind was to cover the cost, giving the possibility to all the players to have the correct profile, so a very low price profile, or full functionalities, services, and so on, with the common value to support their stakeholders with a free of charges platform. So this is the most important characteristic that has helped the improvement plan of the openness platform.
Okay, thank you. So we are running out of time, but I would like to. This is a question that is incredibly nice. So I will give you no more than 30 seconds each. So very, very sharp answer. But the question is also very sharp. And the question is, what would you have done differently? So what would you do differently if you had to start now? So one single thing. Who wants to start?
You can give them 30 seconds to think
Yeah,
about the answer.
that's the reason.
So we can have a chat on that in the meantime.
Yeah, well, whenever you're ready, you just open the
Yeah.
mic and say,
Okay.
"Then
So I,
one
I
single
go first,
sentence."
maybe. So if there is something existing like that, I would have bought it. It would have saved me a lot of tears and pain. Apart from not being able to buy a platform as such, I would have started smaller. But there comes pros and cons with it. Start small or start big. As a company our size, starting big had advantages because it was literally out there. We all needed to work towards making it happen. We could not go back. But definitely starting smaller, learning, and then scaling is a good thing to do.
So Bettina stole my answer, so I will try another one. Uh, I think what I would have done differently is that at the beginning, we built a lot of solution ourselves to create this kind of, to prime the pump, and to create this kind of network effect. And probably we should have gone a bit further on the partners and the supplier side rather quickly than trying to build all the solution ourselves.
Oh, great answer. Thank you.
As explained before, we started from a specific industry approach, then we had a cross-industry approach, then we had financial and so on. So we can have the possibility to start from the beginning in this broader way that we understood step by step. This could be potentially something that we could also recognize from the beginning.
No, is the second time that we have the three of you together. It happened last year for the convention. It happened virtually in the book, and I can say that I'm so grateful to have had the chance to meet you, basically. And we're truly grateful for the inspiration that you gave to our research, to our book, and we hope to the people that listen today that will read the book and will try to develop platforms. I find pretty interesting that there is, in my ears at least, quite clear fil rouge among the three answers that probably links with agility in creating this type of solution, not from a process perspective. I'm not talking about Scrum. I'm talking about the culture of innovation behind these complex systems. So thank you very much for being with us. Thank you for sharing your stories, for taking the time. We are going to briefly move to a bit of to share a bit of what is in the remaining two parts of the book. Part 2 actually deals with the 5 challenges and the relative business platform thinking hacks that emerged by studying the 140 cases that we got from the Standard & Poor 500 list that actually goes with very different typologies of situation that actually links with the stories that Bettina, Pierre, and Stefano share with us. From missing or even inefficient transaction that should happen among stakeholders that are in the value chain of the company, to the fact that what the market is asking, what the customers are actually asking is evolving. And maybe your company is not the right one to actually give an answer to those needs, but you can facilitate that answer. We go towards innovation bottlenecks, which goes towards innovation platforms and open innovation to a certain extent, but also to the whole data world with the underutilized data or data that you are missing and you'd like to gather. There are many other stories in the book, from Chipotle to Intuit to Packard till Target or even Carnival Corporation. We are very happy about the fact that with these stories, we are covering basically any industry you can think of, and there is no one-size-fits-all solution related to the industry we are talking about. But you can actually use this as a tool to actually see your problem and try to design your solution.
Yeah, and talking about design, so the third part of the book is a sort of how-to. So how do you actually make it happen? We are engineers, first thing, and we like to put our hands into things to see things happening. And we also do a kind of research that is a sort of design science research in which we do analyze what is happening, but we want to propose new ways of doing things, new processes, new tools. And this is exactly what we did with many companies in these years. So we are running this observatory in which we collaborated with dozens of companies, which helped us in testing and trying and using and feedbacking all the different tools that we created. At the end, we have now a new process. It's not exactly the same we had at the end of the first book. It was completely reshaped. Now it's composed by 4 main elements, 4 main steps. And we also developed many different tools to support it. More precisely, I would like to put the attention on 2 of them. We got some cards. So we took it from designers. So we developed a set of cards that can be used in order to facilitate workshops within your companies in order to start thinking about the platform, what are the value creation models, what are the needs, how to improve, how to evolve, and so on. And this set of cards and the process are actually supported by also a GPT that we specifically trained to bring to help companies and teams to develop their own platforms. Might be curious, you can check it out, you can use it here. You just use the QR code and you can try the GPT absolutely for free, and feedbacks are always welcome, because this is what we need in order to improve. And I think that we are incredibly on time.
Yeah, for Italy, yes. We are 1 minute, 2 minutes late. So I would say we can just thanks all our guests and all the people that actually listen or will listen to this webinar together. Thank you very much.
Thank you to everybody.
See you.
Ciao,
Bye.
ciao.